Okay, so we're going to kick this off right now. I could not be more excited about what we're going to be sharing with you today. We're going to be talking about what's new to FigJam, widgets, plugins, and more. So many things that I've been personally working on with this team that I've just got excited and built my own widgets, built my own plugins, as well as so many of the FigJam team, as well as our community working on this. Okay, so first I want to introduce to you a few people that are to be on this talk with me, a couple of my hosts. So first of all, I'm Raji King. I'm a designer advocate, also a developer advocate. So I like to call myself a diviner advocate, but enough about me. We also have Bersabel Tedessa, who is the product manager on the platform team. Now, Bersabel works with extensibility. She works with plugins. She works with widgets and all of that, both in FigJam and Figma. Super exciting stuff. And it's been so fun to work with her. And I also want to introduce to you Emily Lin, who's a product manager on the FigJam team. So you see that big, delightful bar on the bottom of that FigJam? Yeah, Emily got to see that come to life and help direct it. So without further ado, I want to hand it off to them to help kick us off and tell us about what's happening here.
All right, everyone, thanks for joining us. Oh, sorry, let me fix my camera. Oh, I'll just present from this camera. But thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be here today and share what's new with FigJam. So we launched FigJam into beta this past year at Config, and we've always envisioned FigJam to be much more than an online whiteboard. Over the last few months during the beta, we've seen different teams gather in FigJam to connect, work, play, and quite simply jam. We've learned that you want to host brainstorms and diagram flows, but you also want to run interviews, facilitate workshops, lead team meetings, and so much more. And so today we're excited to share details about 6 new updates to FigJam, which will expand the set of use cases you can use FigJam for and bring our open platform right to FigJam. And so I'll dive right into the new functionality that expands use cases. So first up is templates. So we know that it takes a lot of time to start from an empty board, and in our busy days, it's hard to find time to do that. And so now you can browse and insert new FigJam templates directly from our FigJam toolbar. It's really easy to find. All you have to do is click this new icon in our toolbar, and we have all sorts of templates for you, from brainstorms to planning to workshops and more, and we'll continue to add more and more templates so you and your teams can do more in FigJam. Next up, we've also seen entire teams, like entire product teams, use FigJam together. And so we've added new functionality to make it even easier for engineers and other technical teammates to collaborate on technical brainstorms directly in FigJam too. And so first, we have a bunch of new shapes, such as databases, queues, files, and folders that will enable you to make more complex architecture diagrams. And next, one of my personal favorites is code blocks. So this is something that you can use to collaborate and brainstorm on code snippets right in FigJam. We have automatic syntax highlighting for 10+ different languages, and you can jump in with your teams and do things like annotating, commenting, and so much more. And finally, we have a feature called Open Sessions. So we've heard from all of you that you want to invite casual and temporary editors into a FigJam file. For example, inviting research participants for a workshop or inviting clients for one-off planning sessions. And so we want to make it even easier for you to temporarily invite anyone you want without requiring them to have to log in or pay for a FigJam license. All you have to do is click share in the top right, and then we have a new section here called Start an Open Session. The moment you click Start, anyone with the link, including people without accounts, can jump right in and jam with your team. And it will manually expire after 24 hours, or you can manually end it. There are no limits to how many open sessions you can start. So that's all I have for this section. And next, I'll hand it off to Bersabel, who will introduce our open platform for FigJam.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Let me just share my screen now. All right. So next, because no two teams are the same, and because everyone has unique ways that they work, we want to introduce you to some new ways that you can extend FigJam to fit exactly how you and your team jam together. And the first being plugins. So we know one of the many reasons our users love Figma today is because of our plugins. And so we're bringing the power of our open platform to FigJam by introducing plugins there as well. So in August, we began a beta for a FigJam plugin API, and have been working closely with developers to get a bunch of plugins built and published for you all. And today, you can access over 40 plugins in FigJam to do things like automate workflows and repetitive tasks, to bring in real data like images and other content, and add new functionality, such as spell check, find and replace, and even image editing, all directly in FigJam. So now I'm excited to share what exactly our developer community has been cooking up. So I want to take a first look at some of my favorite plugins that I've been using. So as you know, plugins make life so much easier by speeding up how you work. The first plugin I want to show you is called Create Sticky from Text by Daniel DeStefanis and Discord. So let's say that I have a document of long form notes from a user research session that I want to bring into a FigJam file so that I can brainstorm with my team, ideate, and really sort of like dig into how to make that feedback actionable. Or, more realistically, I don't know if you all agree, I have a bunch of scattered feedback from colleagues and teammates all throughout various Slack channels. But regardless of how I have sort of my feedback stored, what I want to do is get it all into FigJam and start jamming on it with my team. And so luckily, this plugin helps me do exactly that. So with the Create Sticky from Text plugin, all I have to do is simply copy and paste my feedback into FigJam, and then I can go ahead and run this plugin. And what it does is it analyzes the text and then turns it into sticky notes for me right here on the canvas, just like this. And what I love most about this plugin is that I don't need to have my feedback in any sort of special format or cleaned up. I can have it all jumbled together in this big sort of like paragraph here, and the plugin still works. It reads through the text, it analyzes the sentences, and then splits all of that into stickies as well, which is super helpful. So now that I've got all of my feedback in stickies in FigJam, usually what I like to do next is I like to get all my teammates together and sort of brainstorm and figure out which are the things that actually like resonate the most. And so the easy way to do that, or how we do that, is by voting. In a really quick way is by using stamps, which are super accessible to everyone because we have the keyboard shortcut E for you to access this wheel. So what you can do is you can go in and you can add +1s to feedback that you particularly like. You can add hearts for things you really love, stars, thumbs up. And then a really cool part of this is that if there are questions that you have and sort of feedback you want to dig into more, you can add question marks to make sure that you and your team don't skip over those and go back. So now that everyone on the team has sort of like voted and added stamps to all these stickies, the next thing that I want to do is sort of synthesize all of that, right? I want to figure out what are the stickies that got the most reactions or the most popular. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to have to like weed through all this manually, right? FigJam is really great for sort of messy ideation to just get ideas out there quickly. But then the really important piece is sort of synthesizing all that. And so there is another plugin that helps me do exactly that, which is the Stamp Counter plugin by Alex and Arson. And so this plugin is really great because what it does is it looks through the entire document and it picks up all of the stamps that are here and sort of organizes them and orders them by frequency. And I think what's really cool is, let's say that I particularly care about +1s in terms of the sort of reactions. I can click into that here, and then the plugin will sort of go through and pick all of the stickies that sort of match that reaction, and then takes me directly to them. So as you can see here, I see all of the stickies that sort of have that +1 reaction, and they're ordered by frequency, and I can just go in and pan through them. And so this gives me a very easy and quick view into the feedback that resonates the most with the team, and it gives me a good idea of what we should sort of continue digging into and brainstorming around to make into real features for you all. So this is just the tip of the iceberg into the plugins that we've been working with and building with our community. And I think one of the sort of my favorite things about bringing plugins to FigJam is that we're making them super accessible to everyone directly in the file in the toolbar. And so as you can see, there's this new menu down here for accessing all of your plugins in FigJam. So all you have to do is click this up and you see some of the cool features that we've been talking about today. I can click plugins and I see all of my installed plugins right here available for me to run. And I can also look for new plugins here. So let's say that I'm looking for an icon plugin because I want to use that for some diagramming. I just search for that keyword and I see all the plugins in community that match this keyword and work in FigJam, all without leaving my file, all without breaking flow. I can even click in and see more info about a plugin before I install it and use it directly here, and then I can run it directly here. I also have the ability to explore for plugins and browse by different use cases and categories. So let's say I'm looking for a plugin for a brainstorm or for diagramming, or maybe I'm just looking to have a little fun. All of these are right here, again, directly in FigJam from the toolbar. So I can talk your ear off about plugins forever, but I want to make sure that we have time for Raji to also give you a first look on widgets, another way for you to customize how you jam as a team. So I'm going to pass it over to Raji now.
Okay. All right, first of all, that was really cool. And I especially love this extra menu here where now I don't have to go out to the community and try to find something. I can actually just get it right here and not break my flow. Now, as Percival was talking, I've got an example of a plugin up right here. And this plugin is just a one-off. It's just working in my own space. Now, we've all probably used a plugin or two, and so we can use it in kind of a one-player mode. But in stark contrast with that, we've got widgets. Now, you might be asking, what the heck is a widget? Well, I'm really excited to share with you because I've built a few myself, and I'm super excited about this. Widgets are on-canvas elements that are right in Figma, but they have little bits of code inside of them, and they can actually run little mini applications inside of them. So examples we see here are like dice and polls and things like this, where we can actually work in a multiplayer way with our team and connect with our team. But you're probably saying to yourself, Raji, why are we just talking about widgets? Aren't widgets ready? Aren't they available today? Well, absolutely, they're available today. And I think there's nothing better than a little bit of show and tell. So we're going to jump right in and do what I like to call a little bit of demo time. So let's get our demo on and let's see a first widget. Now, this isn't going to be all of our widgets. We've got over 30 widgets ready for you. Remember, you can always go into this menu, find the widgets, and search for things that you may want to find. But we're going to share a few exciting ones with you today. And the first I want to share with you is the table widget by Gavin McFarland. Now, haven't you ever been in FigJam and you've noticed that people have actually taken a screenshot of a document, or they've taken a screenshot of a spreadsheet? Now, that's not live data, it's not real data, and it's not editable. It's just a screenshot. And with widgets, we can empower this sort of bringing in of data and then multiplayer editing. And I'm going to give an example right now of this beautiful little widget by Gavin McFarland. What we're going to do is we're going to grab a Google spreadsheet address and we're going to import some data in. I'm going to click import data, and we can see that magically, just going to get this out of the way. All right. And we can see that magically that this table is filled. Now, what else can we do with this widget? Well, it's all up to the power of the programmer and what they decide they want to do with it. Maybe we want to insert a cell above or below. Maybe we want to come in and edit some of this data right here. We can do that right in the widget, and that's amazing. I'm so excited about the power of widgets and what we can do, multiplayer editing all together. Now, that's just one widget. Let's move along. We also have another widget here that I'm going to sample for you. And I would invite my people into the file because this isn't only just about me. This is about all of us. And so this simple vote widget is by yours truly, also known as Raji King, and I'm going to demonstrate it. So this widget allows you to capture votes in an anonymous way, so we don't have bias, or we can do non-anonymous. And in this case, we're going to ask the question, which wizard is best? So we can go ahead and go with non-anonymous because it's just more for fun. Now I'm going to take this widget here I'm going to put it right here and center it. And then I'm going to duplicate it across. And the cool thing about widgets is that I can actually duplicate them. And when I duplicate them, it duplicates its state. So when I press duplicate here, look at this. I've created a bunch of widgets here. And so, yes, Emily, I'm missing someone, but let's go ahead and vote on the choices that we have today. Which wizard is best? I'd love to see your votes right now. I'm going to go in. Apparently, I learned that Grogu was a wizard. Not so sure about that, but I'm going to go ahead and say Disney fan here. I'm going to go with Merlin. We can see Emily Grogu definitely here. Come on, let's get some Selena Gomez love up in the house. We've got it. But we can collect votes from our team and see it happen live on the screen and then have this data later in our FigJam document. But let's just keep going and let's just keep talking about more widgets and more fun. The next widget we have here is Poll, made by Michael Young, Christina Hung, and Jackie Chewy. So the cool thing about this is I can actually customize my poll options and then vote. So I've customized my options here because I just want it to be fun about the best Netflix series. Now I'm going to ask my teammates to come in and vote on this widget. I'm going to do this vote. Now my voting is private. They don't get to see what I see. Remember, this is like a plugin window. It's private to me. I don't get to see what they've done, and I submit the vote. Now I see that I have my 3 votes in. I'm going to end the poll. And it seems like Squid Game is won by a landslide. Great job. High five, y'all. Amazing job. Okay. Let's move on to another one. We have so many widgets to share with you, and I'm so excited about what our team is going to be able to build and our community is going to be able to build with our APIs. Next, we have Alignment Scale by Michael Young, Sawyer Hood, and Kian Yo. So this allows you to do not such a binary sort of a choice, but more of like a heat map style of voting. So we have a very important question here on the canvas, which is, raccoons, would they make good pets? And let's see. Now, for me, I absolutely know that they would make great pets, but we see that everyone's voted. We haven't revealed this yet. We have no bias yet. Now, when I click go, let's see what we've got. Well, it looks like we're fairly split. Emily is maybe warm. Percival is very much against this, and I'm very much for this. Maybe now we can try to find some alignment as our team and ask important questions as to why people think that raccoons might not make good pets. All right, moving along, we're going to keep on sharing some great widgets. And what I'd like to do is invite the CEO and co-founder of Donut, Dan Mannion, in to help me talk about his new Donut widget, which is available today. Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Great. How are you? Awesome stuff.
I'm doing great as well. I'm super excited because we're talking about widgets. I can't wait to talk about yours. Can you tell me a little bit about maybe the reasons you created Donut and then why you created Donut as a widget for FigJam?
Absolutely. So our mission at Donut is to help create human connection in the workplace that drives camaraderie, community, and collaboration. I started Donut after feeling and seeing how important connection is in places that I worked. And we have a tool that's deeply integrated with Slack that helps people have serendipitous encounters and replicate some water cooler chat that's been really valuable for us and many others as we've been working remotely. But we decided to build a product for FigJam, and we're really excited about it because connections and relationships are formed all throughout the workday, and coming together for a brainstorm or a meeting is one really important opportunity and moment where connections can be created. So that led us to build what we have here, which is a number of different exercises that can help kick off a jam session. And whether it's with new people that you're meeting for the first time or with your existing team and you just want to kind of get the juices flowing.
First of all, I love this because it's very near and dear to my heart. I'm the kind of guy that's always trying to create little cocktail hours and coffee meetings. And then I have a list of prompts of questions where I literally ask them stuff off of my notes in my iPhone. So I can see a huge use case for this. I know that people on our team are so excited about this one. But Dan, I think the best way to experience this is to actually experience this. Can you guide us through a session?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it live and see what happens. So why don't we start with, we have a number of different categories here, but why don't we start with something from Share and Tell, which is just a quick way for us to share something about ourselves. So if we do favorite things, what we're going to see is Donut's going to prompt us to each share something from a favorite thing category. If we just choose this game, you'll see Donut's going to have a variety of prompts. What's your favorite band, musical artist, or genres? If we don't like that one, you can just hit shuffle and you'll get another one. Let's see, do you follow any sports teams? Let's shuffle again and see what else we have in here. Favorite subject or major in school. One more. Let's see what else we've got. And then why don't we? I'll explain the prep timer and round robin. Sports or physical activities you enjoy. All right, let's go around with this one. So we're each gonna have 10 seconds to think of our answer. And you see we're using the built-in FigJam timer in the upper right. And when we're all ready, if you just click start round robin, the widget is actually going to tell us what order to share in, and I'm first. So I actually love swimming in the ocean and body surfing. And I live in New York, but I've got a wetsuit, so I just did a little bit of that this past weekend. And
Amazing.
And then just hit next, and let's see what Emily wants to share.
I recently got into volleyball, and fun fact, we have a Figma team called Digmates for Figmates. All right, Raji, what do you have to share?
And I do want to point out that these widgets are multiplayer, so Emily can pass the baton to me. Anybody can press shuffle so we can work together. For me, I've recently gotten into kickball. I thought it was just sort of like a tame family sport, but apparently it was not. It's aggressive and it's hardcore, and I've hurt myself a few times. So that's me. I'm going to pass this one off to Burspo.
Awesome. I'm going to take us home. So I would say my favorite physical activity is soccer, but really I have done zero physical activity during the pandemic. So that's my real answer.
Amazing. All right, Dan, can you guide us through another game, and how would we do that?
Yeah, so just took us back to the main menu, and there's 9 of them here. Why don't we this time try draw some? So the creative warm-ups are not necessarily sharing about yourself, but it's just kind of a fun exercise to get the juices flowing. And in this game, we're each going to take turns drawing something. Why don't we just go with the default, the first prompt here, which is we're each going to think of something that you might find on a mountain and have 1 minute to draw that. Why don't we turn the prep timer off? We can save a little time and just kind of be ready to go. So if you turn the prep timer off, we're not going to have any time to think other than right now in terms of what we're each going to draw. And we have 1 minute to draw natively in FigJam. So this is really cool because the widget is the prompt, but we're just going to use FigJam to do our thing. And then the rest of us are going to guess what you're drawing. So if you, 30-second timer, I like it. So let's see who's going to go first.
Oh, as fate would have it, it's me. Okay, here I go. I'm going to grab my marker. Let's get some hot purple here. Something on a mountain. Oh, goodness. Okay.
River, grass.
Volcano.
Oh, you predicted it with me getting the red. All right, whoever got volcano gets it. I'm passing it off.
All right.
Emily, you're up.
Grass, bush, shrub.
Tree.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh gosh, okay, I should have been thinking of something. I got this.
Flower.
You got it. Okay, great.
We're doing very easy prompts today.
Yeah, sometimes I try to think of something really challenging and it takes a little bit longer. Let's see here. I'm the least skilled artist of all of you.
Oh,
Ant. Goat.
Yep, you got it. Go.
Amazing. Okay. That was so much fun. Dan, thank you so much for guiding us through this. I can see that we're going to be using this in our team warm-up meetings come Monday of next week. So excited. Thank you so much for building this widget for us to connect with our teams.
Awesome. My pleasure. Absolutely. And we've been over the past 2 weeks using it at Donut and having a blast with it, and actually using it for some structured brainstorms and sessions as well. So you can see actually in the last section, the round robin timer is a way to, we'll just do a group brainstorm and then everybody has 30 seconds to share their favorite idea from the brainstorm. So there's actually a bunch of ways to integrate it into brainstorms, feedback sessions, and things like that as well. Thanks so much.
I love it so much. Thank you, Dan.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we're going to keep on moving and sharing more exciting widgets. And the next one I want to share is Stark for FigJam. So Kat, I would love to invite you into the file. I want to introduce you to Kat Noon, the CEO at Stark. Now, before Kat starts talking to us about this, you may know Kat because Kat's really involved in the design world. Over 500,000 designers use Stark right now to help them in their accessibility journey and to learn more about how to make designs better for all people. So Kat, hey, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me.
So good to have you in. Now, I'm curious, can you tell me a little bit about why Stark chose to create a widget in FigJam?
Yeah, so for context about what Stark for FigJam is, some of you may have seen our plugin in Figma already, but Stark for FigJam provides designers and engineers and product managers role-specific accessibility checklists. And so you get to tick tasks off your list to track cross-discipline progress, expand your knowledge on specific topics with drop-down descriptions, and have each team member leave sticky notes per topic so everyone can actually jump into solutions instead of the days where we're only surfacing problems. Let's actually lean into action. And so the reason we brought it was, the funny thing is when you first approached me about bringing Stark into FigJam, it wasn't immediately clear how Stark as is, plugin wise, would help expand an online whiteboard. And I didn't really have any context, or at least much context with regard to FigJam. But as we brainstormed and learned about the various ways teams are using FigJam in the design process, the use case became completely clear to us. And after we took the initial meeting back within the team, we said, what does it look like to bring accessibility whiteboarding to FigJam? I think too often we talk about accessibility at the end of a design phase, and it's also treated as solely the designer's responsibility. But accessibility is not a single discipline issue. It's an entire product development pipeline responsibility. And so having accessibility be present cross-functionally throughout all stages of the product development lifecycle allows your team to actually reduce the time and money spent during the either development, like actual kickoff phase, the maintenance of it during QA, or the supporting stages where you're going through and retrofitting a project that's maybe, several years old. Not to mention, like, when your product's inherently, accessible, it's also inclusive. It's going to expand your actual reach that you can achieve.
I think those are like incredibly valid points. And coming from the perspective, Kat, as a designer, accessibility was always sort of like a bit, it was a little bit hard to grasp. And it always felt like it was more of like a checklist at the end, or sort of like, let's just check our contrast ratio and let's make sure that works. And I think a big gaping hole in my knowledge is really around the area of education. Like I really don't know all of the things and how many articles I need to read. And I think that this is what this helps solve, is before the design phase, not just designers are responsible, but the whole team can be educated this way. And I would love if you'd guide me through a little session using your widget and how we might use this in FigJam.
Yeah, let's do it. So you want to hop in there with me? All right, let's go back to our roots, Raji. I'm a designer and you be the developer here. So let's say we're jamming on this Twigma website. Let's say we're actually in the QA phase. We realize that there's an accessibility initiative that we actually need to take hold of. There are things that we knew we did wrong. And now that we're aware, we have to go in and rectify. And so we have a checklist here for designers, and you have your checklist here for engineers. And if one of our colleagues wanted to come in, we can go ahead and add a list for product managers. They can go in and add that. Hello, Bursabel. Hopefully you're in there using that product manager checklist. And so we know there are a few things that are already covered. I made some notes about color and contrast. Hey, Bursabel. I made notice that the color label on the dropdown isn't accessible. And I asked if we can change that in the design system. And if you drop down the color and contrast, there should be, this is a new one I added, so it's not there. But if I wanted to add another note, I can go ahead and change that, and I can make notice here and say, let's get the strokes on the swatches changed to darker, making notes regarding color and contrast. Now, I also added a note, which you can see here, regarding focus order. I clicked it there. I clicked my own avatar and it took me right to that note, which is really awesome, especially when you have multiple people in a file. But I made note that I'm going to tackle setting the focus order in this sprint. And so Raji, you're new to focus order, let's say.
Mhm.
Go ahead and add a note and as an engineer and make clear that, you know, what is that going to look like? Or can you annotate that on the actual screen? Because then
Yeah.
we can connect those, or we can put them close to each other so that they're all relevant. And I can make sure that's covered as a designer when I'm going through and annotating these things. But as you're setting that, even if you were confused before I actually tackle that, you can go ahead and you can click on more about focus. And there, Stark is going to give you more information about what focus is in relation to engineering, list out bullet points to make sure you have these things top of mind, so that when you tick off focus on your checklist, you do it with a sound mind. You know that you covered everything possible in your code, and that any of your team members that come in see, oh, I can go check that code, or I can see that, you know, that PR, you know, Raji must have already finished that. That's amazing. And this acts as this source of truth for accessibility initiatives with regard to whatever stage your project is at.
I absolutely love this. And I think the one thing that I love more than just the checklist, and I really love that it's sort of, no matter where the notes exist on the canvas, that it keeps track of them and you can kind of
Yep.
find and track where those notes were. But I think my favorite thing, and I noticed this as I was testing this, was I talked about that gap in my knowledge.
Mhm.
I opened up this link and like, I've been a designer for a long, and a web designer. So literally somebody that's creating the code and designing. And I already started learning things just through this. It's all in the app. I love this. And I feel like I'm already learning so much, Kat.
That's fantastic.
Well, that's cool. Is there anything else that you want to share about this? Otherwise, this has been amazing. I can't wait to dig into each one of these sections more, like patterns to avoid. I have no clue what's in there, but I can't wait.
It's understandable. And the purpose of Stark for FigJam and this deeper knowledge with the links there in each of the dropdowns is to make it so that we remove a lot of that fear and uncertainty and doubt that so many of us, even as what you consider veterans in this space, have no idea about sometimes. And with that, make it easy to really collab with your team and lean into action instead of sitting there scared of what's next. It makes it easier to actually get started. And just so you know, and for everybody here, you can bring your screens that you're working on in Figma into FigJam to understand what progress looks like. You know, it doesn't have to be just a regular design. It could be screens that you've already annotated focus order with Stark in the plugin. Bring it in. Those are exportable and really supercharge collaboration with regard to accessibility whiteboarding.
I love that. And I didn't even think about that, Kat, that I could actually go into design, add in my focus order, literally just copy those elements. And with FigJam and Figma and the way they interop, I could actually copy and paste right in here and then layer on more accessibility checks, but also be able to communicate to my engineers, okay, here's the focus order. Here's what we're going to do.
Yep, exactly.
Amazing, Kat. I hope you all go and get this widget. The great thing about widgets is that they don't need to be installed. They literally are on the screen and they can just be copied and pasted. So I can copy this from a FigJam file and paste it into another one. I don't need to tell somebody to go install that thing. Kat, thank you so much for making this, for the whole Stark team, for creating it and helping us level up our education in the area of accessibility.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we've got more widgets to share. And for this one, I'm going to talk about a very unique use case that comes from our very own engineers at Figma. And so what I'd love to do is invite Amanda Richardson, the CEO at CoderPad, in to talk about CoderPad. She made CoderPad for FigJam and what CoderPad is and what it does.
Awesome. Good to see you, Raji. Thank you for having us. And thank you to your dev team for being CoderPad champions and getting us involved in this launch. We are super excited to be here. For those that don't know, CoderPad is a platform for interviewing and assessing developer talent. So we have an interactive IDE where you can run interviews, ask technical questions, and really assess technical talent. what we're super excited about with our FigJam launch is that we can make this a more natural experience for both the developers as well as the interview panel. So you would get a design that maybe you have to mock up as part of your technical assessment, or you want to have a series of design questions, you want to do some sketching, you want to talk through a bunch of different topics. It's way more natural to do that in tools you're used to using. And so we're super excited to be part of the FigJam launch or the widget launch and make that possible for all of the developers and designers who get involved with interviewing out there.
That is so cool. And it's definitely a story that is true that comes from our own engineering team, where they were literally using FigJam and then they would set up external links to CoderPad, but they love to annotate sort of the problem area to bring in their designs. So drag and drop their designs right in from Figma into FigJam, and then be able to set up a stage here. Now with audio chat, we can actually connect that way and actually conduct an interview. Who knows what else we could possibly do, but this story comes from a very real situation that we had at Figma. And so why not just bring these two tools together? Now, Amanda, I guess Kat said I was the engineer on the previous demo, so maybe I should just play that role.
We're gonna roll with it, but I hope you do well. Otherwise, it's gonna be a really tough rest of your week. So
Okay.
Raji, let's play interview. You're going to be the candidate. And so what we've set up here is maybe a sample for what a candidate might experience on, a full day of what we used to call on-site interviews, but don't really happen on-site anymore. So your first interview will be a front-end assessment. We'll work through some front-end tasks. Maybe our next round is a systems question. And you can imagine, that this brings an incredible candidate experience because you just come to one FigJam, whereas the candidate, you can go through each of your different interviews. Everybody's in one place. It's a much more natural experience, but also all of the interviewers can come in. They can add their questions. They can add their comments. When the whole interview is over, the interview panel has completed, you can review your notes together and have a full capture of what that candidate went through. So we're gonna leave you be on the systems, but we are gonna give you a little front end work.
Thank you for doing that. I was just thinking it might be great to set up the interview, set up with code shapes here, and then I could say, here's the problem, and here's what we're trying to do. Looks like maybe we have an ID that's an integer, but this is way above my head. So let's do this one. So
we're going to reverse binary trees. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's brutal. Okay. So how do I do this now? Do I just jump into do I hit join?
Yep, we just hit join, and that should launch our CoderPad session. So what you can see here is what's coming up is a very collaborative and natural front-end development experience. So we've done a little pre-work for you. You can just run code and it should render something very similar to the mock-up we have here on the FigJam page. And so I guess the real candidate experience, or what we would be assessing a candidate with, is to say, here's a mock-up you got from a designer. Spend the next 45 minutes making it your own, and how would you bring this to life? And so then as part of a collaborative experience within the CoderPad experience, we can ask you to do, some changes. We could ask really hard questions, but in the spirit of not making you sweat too much, why don't you just change the sidebar color to dark blue, and we'll test your CSS skills.
Luckily, I don't need
I hope this goes
I don't
well.
need a hex code. I can literally type dark blue and I can hit run, but I've noticed here that there's a shortcut here. So I can just hit Command Enter. Okay, Kat's gonna definitely have some thoughts on accessibility. Okay, what's next?
Issues, but let's also test your HTML skills. Can you rename the lower section from my account to account info? And then we can see how you're able to, there we go. That's a much more readable. Good improvement.
Yeah, I got accessible up in there. All right.
Yeah. Kat's giving us a high five. She's like, oh, thank God.
Right on.
So as you can see, we're obviously walking through some simple questions, but for a candidate experience, you would have all of this captured right here. We're able to collaborate within CoderPad as well as able to collaborate within the FigJam board. We can do it all in one place. And then at the end, what makes life easier for the developers is all of this is captured in the CoderPad widget. So at the end of the interview can be ended, and then the interview panel can go back, they can play back, they can look at particular parts of the code, parts of the interview. You'll also have access to your private interviewer notes. So you still have all the tools you would want within CoderPad around making this a great experience for the candidate, but a more simplified and maybe more natural experience in terms of working in the entire tool ecosystem, not just the CoderPad IDE.
Yeah, I love that there's so many sort of interconnected things going on here. First of all, that we've got these mockups. Material design is an open source sort of library, but we also have open source designs that came here right from the community. We're also playing in a multiplayer world in CoderPad, where in this view, I'm the developer, but it also is able to save this. So it seems like, Amanda, when you come back as the interviewer, you're able to actually run the code that I created right then. And is that like playback in real time as I type it in? How does that work for you on the interviewer end?
Yeah, so code playback in CoderPad plays back all of the keystrokes that happen during the interview. So we skip the dead spots or the parts of no motion, but you can play back every single keystroke. You can either advance to the section that you want to discuss, or as likely happens in a concluding roundtable is there's like, well, I thought this person, maybe struggled with this concept, and you can speed ahead to minute 47 in the interview and say, actually, I thought they solved that. She did a really good job of addressing that issue, or here's how we work through that together. So it's awesome to have both the pair programming experience as well as the whiteboarding FigJam experience all married together in one place, both for gathering the data, but also allowing the engineers to play a little bit more in the FigJam environment.
Amanda, thank you so much for building this. I know our team thanks you because they're actually already using this right now to interview their candidates. I appreciate this so much, and thank you for building this for all of our developers. If you didn't know, nearly 30% of Figma users are actually developers. This is not just a tool for designers. Thanks so much, Amanda.
Well, thank you,
this
Team
widget
Figma.
so much.
We love working with you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, this has been amazing. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to actually pass this off to Bursabel to help see us out. So let's do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Raji, for demoing the magic of widgets. You truly are a widgets wizard. And one thing I just want to highlight and reiterate that we said in the beginning is there is still so much more to do. This is just the beginning. So you have a ton of exciting stuff to look forward to for both widgets and plugins. And actually, one of my favorite upcoming plugins that I want to tell you about right now is being currently made by Vimeo. So they're building a plugin called Vimeo Record, where you'll be able to screen record and screen capture and leave thoughts in a video directly in a FigJam file. Now, I don't know about you all, but I'm super excited for this functionality. I think it's going to be so useful for leaving a little extra context for the team that maybe I can't fit into sort of text-based communication, and I just want to record a quick video, capture my screen, and leave some sort of comments in video format in FigJam. So super excited for this.
All right, so we can't wait to see what you build and how all of you make FigJam home for your teams. FigJam is currently still free in beta, but we plan on exiting that beta on February 1st, 2022. In February, you'll be able to choose which FigJam plan works for your team. And just like Figma, we'll have a starter plan that will be free forever. And we'll also be offering paid plans, which will offer more features starting at $3. And you'll be able to see more details on our website. Thanks again. Our wonderful team had such a blast building these features, and we're just so excited. As a small plug, we do have a live stream coming up later this month, jumping deeper into plugins and widgets. Please register on figma.com/events. Thank you all again so much for tuning in, and see you next time.